The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.
Dave, have you heard of border fence volleyball?
I've heard of the border, and I'm certainly familiar with volleyball.
All right. Well, there is this annual tradition in the sister towns of Naco, Arizona, and a town of the same name in Sonora, Mexico, I guess.
Yeah.
So every April, players face off on opposite sides of the wall, the fence, the border, and they play volleyball, and there's kind of this party happening all over the place, and it really seems like a lot of fun. And what I like about this is that it is just, if you watch corporate media, you have an impression of the wall, of the border, and you think that drugs are coming over the border, that there are firefights going on between cartels and a border patrol, and that it's just chaos. Or like that Donald Trump ad, that there are just hordes of people flooding over the border, climbing over the wall. And
of course, that video was from Morocco, but that's
right.
Neither here nor there. Yeah.
Right. So anyway, this just seems like a really cool tradition, and I guess it's been going on since 1979.
Well, I can tell you, Lewis, under President Trump, Mexico would pay for and build a beautiful wall, and the wall would be too tall for the volleyball game to continue.
It looks like people do play at some very tall portions of this fence. And the fence, in many places, the fence is not a fence. Okay,
Yeah.
In many places, there's nothing at all. Then in some places, you have what is the equivalent of a guardrail.
Right.
Then in some places, there's a very short fence. In other places, a taller fence that seems like you could kick it really hard and it might fall over. It's kind of a joke.
What I can't tell from the picture with this article is, in some parts the fence is sort of see-through, and that's kind of key. If you're playing volleyball, it's very hard to play volleyball when you don't see what the players are doing. You just see the ball come over the fence. That would make it pretty difficult.
I like a challenge.
Okay.
Challenging volleyball. But I wonder if there are Border Patrol agents just hanging around this looking for people that might be...
I think so.
Yeah. Most likely.
Yeah.
Anyway, if I were in the area, this is something I would love to witness. And we could make a segment out of it, right? That'd be pretty cool. Anyway... for some reason, this story reminded me of the World War I trench story where on Christmas, both sides just stopped fighting and played soccer.
Right.
And I know it's a little bit different, but I don't know. It just reminds me of that.
Yeah.
Does it remind you of that?
Not at all, no. But that's not a story I was that familiar with, so it's, I mean, I think it makes sense. It wouldn't remind me of that.
True story.
I believe it.
It's incredible. Yeah.
Now, what about the Jewish soldiers? What did they do? Did they keep fighting?
The Jewish soldiers?
Yeah.
World War I? I don't know.
Probably weren't that many, you think?
Well, probably not.
Because they don't observe Christmas, you know what I'm saying?
I know.
Yeah.
But either way, there was a break in the fighting.
Yeah.
Maybe they just stood around and drank coffee, smoked cigarettes, and chatted with other soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
I really doubt they were firing guns while everyone else was playing soccer.
Yeah.
That'd be
rude.
That would be pretty rude. Okay. Blink Health. Have you heard of Blink Health?
No.
All right. My mom actually alerted me to this. And there's an app. There's a website. What this is it's and I don't know how they managed to do this. I'll get into it. But it's a company that is providing drugs at incredibly low prices. Somehow they've achieved this. And you can use Blink. It's a U.S. company. You can use Blink to fulfill subscriptions at local pharmacies and all of that. And I guess they're kind of bypassing the insurance industry. So you still need a prescription and all of that, of course. A couple examples of the cost differences here. Something like Lipitor retails at $163 for, I don't know, a certain amount, ends up costing the average person about $26, $27. under prescription discount programs. And through Blink, you would be able to get this for under $10. Prilosec, which I guess is normally around $20 under other plans, would cost about $7. And all of this stuff. It was founded by two brothers who are the sons and grandsons of doctors, backed by high-profile investors. I guess I can get into the explanation of how... It's a very vague explanation of how they're able to achieve this.
I've looked into it in detail.
It has to do with buying power.
They talk about economies of scale and just they're able to aggregate lots of different buying groups that have prescriptions and say, okay, we can expect this number of people from a particular group to want Lipitor, and then we have these here, and we can just buy and negotiate a lower price, et cetera. But the thing is, I mean, insurance companies also could go about that if they wanted to. It's just structured in a sort of different way, but the explanation is somewhat vague. I mean, I think conceptually, yeah, anybody, as a general thing, you expect a bulk discount when you buy a lot of something.
But ultimately, I think it's a rather simple example of how different things would be if the medical billing industry and the insurance industry just didn't exist.
Right.
How much cheaper everything would be.
Yeah, this is totally outside of the health insurance paradigm. There are not reimbursements at play. You don't have the medical coding and billing infrastructure between the patient and the provider of the medication. You're just eliminating a ton of bureaucracy.
Exactly. And so, however, they are able to achieve getting these pharmaceuticals for at great prices. I wonder if we're going to see copycat companies here. I wonder if this is the beginning of a trend.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just it's a wonderful thing. So, unfortunately, I would imagine that they are still at the mercy of companies like Shkreli's former company,
right,
where the price is just jacked up, and we could talk all day about the reasons for that.
Yeah.
Anyway, Blink Health is the name of the company. If anyone uses this, tell us about it.
I wonder if you're allowed to use it no matter what state you live in. Because oftentimes, depending on the level of state regulation, like for example, before Massachusetts deregulated the car insurance industry, Geico, if you were in Massachusetts, you just couldn't have Geico because
right.
It was a different insurance paradigm.
Yep. I don't know about that, but it certainly wouldn't surprise me if that were the case. Let's move on to Russia. I can't remember the last time Russia was in the bonus show. Do you? It's been a while.
Yesterday, I guess, right? Yeah.
Yesterday.
No, I don't remember exactly, but
it's been a long time. Anyway, considering the proximity to China, you would think that...
Considering the proximity to Sarah Palin's house in Alaska, it's shocking it hasn't been discussed
true.
more. Yeah.
That is true. Smoking, I think, is pretty popular in Russia.
Yeah.
And there are now anti-smoking campaigns. Now, the problem with some of these anti-smoking ads is that they feature our president, Barack Obama. And the messaging is a bit strange. So it shows a picture of Obama smoking, which he does.
Well, do we know if he still smokes? I know he did smoke. And then there was a period where it was sort of known that he was having individual cigarettes away from any kind of cameras. But I thought that most recently he said it's been years since he smoked. Did I imagine that?
In 2009, Michelle Obama said that he occasionally fell off the wagon.
Yeah. Okay, well, that was the first year of his presidency.
That it was, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe he still smokes. He did
I
smoke.
imagine
Anyway,
a world where he doesn't smoke.
It was a thing when he was on the campaign trail the first time.
Yeah.
There were pictures of him smoking. It was a big thing.
It was bad.
It was bad. It was bad. So let me read what the text here on this Obama ad says. It says, where is it? Smoking kills more people than Obama, although he kills a lot of people. Don't smoke. Don't be like Obama. So I don't know how I feel about this.
Yeah, interesting
because
messaging.
It's a wonderful anti-smoking message, but it's wrapped up in propaganda.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess I'm still if this is what it takes to get Russians to stop smoking, I guess I'm in favor of it.
Okay. For you, the ends justify the means here.
I think so. I don't think these ads specifically are going to be an insurmountable PR problem for the United States.
Not to mention, I mean, we've talked about the drone war, which has been escalated under President Obama. You know, it's not who can really argue here.
I guess you could say every U.S. president has killed a lot of people.
Absolutely.
So maybe it's not inaccurate. But I think still, considering the tone of it, it might be dishonest.
Well, it's just another attempt by Russia to try to make Obama look bad and be anti-West. I mean, that's pretty transparent.
Yeah, brilliantly done in an anti-smoking ad.
Yeah.
So there it is, anti-smoking, anti-America propaganda.
Quick recommendation, if I may, Louis. I recently read an article speaking of Russia, about the Internet Research Agency, which is basically a professional trolling agency that hires full-time bloggers to do pro-Kremlin and also extremist right-wing trolling. And it's unclear whether it still exists or not, but there's a really good article, which I can't remember, but if you Google Internet Research Agency investigation or something like that, it should come up. A guy went over to Russia and hung out outside the building where the organization was supposedly located. The entire thing is very interesting.
Okay. China also has...
they're big on their trolling game?
Agency. They're huge. And I talked about that not too long ago. They hired thousands and thousands, maybe tens of thousands of people. And I don't know if there's a formal agency, but basically to just go online and post everywhere on anti-China stuff.
Right.
With pro-China messages or telling people that they're misinformed. So China is very big on that as well.
There's sort of something interesting, like when I go on our YouTube channel and I see just insane, outrageous comments, I imagine a 22-year-old sitting in a basement somewhere with Cheetos and a black light on, right? But it actually could be a very well-organized trolling organization in a professional office building somewhere that's actually leaving those messages.
It could be. And we use the term professional loosely, but but that could
paid, I guess, is what I mean.
Paid, yes, that could very well be the case, and I guess that's just that's what you have to do when you're China, and there's a lot of bad PR out there.
Right.
And actually, quick side note on this. This is fascinating. I was
hired by one of these companies.
Yes, I was hired by one of these Chinese companies. They told me to stop talking about China on the bonus show. No. When going through some of David Bowie's material, he had a very popular song called 7 Years in Tibet, and it was a pro-Tibet song. And right there on the YouTube page was someone from China saying, I would suggest people stop listening to this. David Bowie has does not know what he's talking about politically or something like that.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, this has to be one of those people.
Right.
This has to be one of those people that is getting paid to do this by the Chinese government.
Yeah. Well, if you can tell that they're one of them, they're not doing a good job, right? Is that fair to say?
Who would do that? I mean, who would do that? Right? What kid in China would take the time to do
Louis,
that?
that's a popular view among 9-year-olds in China.
Is it?
Yeah.
Are they familiar with David Bowie's body of work?
And they have very good English also.
That's incredible. Yeah. That's another big part of it, the English. It's these are trained people.
Right.
Yeah. All right. That's it for today. Anything to add?
Nothing else.
Okay.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.